All right, welcome to your personalized deep dive.
Hmm.
Today we're going to be exploring
Okay.
Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life.
Right.
We'll be digging into some of the key excerpts from the book and trying to understand why they've resonated so deeply with so many readers.
Well, Peterson's writing style definitely contributes to that.
Oh, how so?
It's like, he's having a conversation with you, right?
Yeah.
He's just kind of weaving in all these different things,
Yeah.
Philosophy, psychology, mythology, personal anecdotes,
Yeah.
all without that kind of typical dry academic tone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more like he's inviting us to pull up a chair and join a late night philosophical discussion,
Yeah.
Like I remember that passage where someone describes meeting him for the first time and he was just casually discussing these deep questions with everyone at the table. It wasn't a lecture.
Yeah.
It was like an exchange of ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And that conversational style really reflects his overall teaching approach.
Yeah.
He presents these complex ideas, but in a way that really makes you want to lean in and engage.
Yeah.
It's like he's giving you this framework for understanding not just the world, but your own place within it.
Yeah, and this connects back to his earlier work, Maps of Meaning, which explores this very human need we all have, right?
Right.
To find meaning in a world that can often feel chaotic.
Absolutely.
That search for order in the midst of chaos, I mean, it's something we can all relate to.
Absolutely.
Regardless of our background.
Yeah, that universality is key to his work's broad appeal.
Yeah.
He argues that, deep down we're all grappling with these similar questions about our existence, our purpose, and how to live a meaningful life.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is how he blends like scientific analysis with storytelling to explore these questions, drawing on everything from literature, religion, to, believe it or not, lobster behavior.
Okay, the lobster thing, that's definitely one of the more memorable and perhaps controversial parts of the book.
Sure.
Peterson uses lobsters to illustrate this concept of dominance hierarchies.
Yeah.
He describes how lobsters who win fights have their brains rewired for success, while the losers experience a sort of neurological breakdown.
Right.
Is he really implying that humans are just like lobsters fighting for dominance?
Well, he's not saying we're exactly like lobsters, but he is pointing to this conservative nature of evolution.
Okay.
And the shared biological underpinnings of behavior across species. The point he's driving at is that dominance hierarchies aren't just a human construct.
Okay.
They exist throughout nature.
Yeah.
And understanding that can shed light on our own social interactions, power dynamics, and how we navigate those systems.
So, knowing this, are we destined to just accept and play by the rules of these dominance hierarchies? Does Peterson suggest that challenging them is futile?
It's a good question, and this is where Peterson's work often sparks debate.
Yeah.
He doesn't explicitly say that we should blindly accept existing hierarchies. But he does suggest that understanding their biological basis can help us navigate them more effectively.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not about resigning ourselves to a predetermined fate, but rather understanding the forces at play so we can make informed choices.
Precisely.
Okay.
And this ties into his argument against what he sees as two dominant teachings influencing millennials.
Okay.
Moral relativism and ideological indoctrination. He criticizes moral relativism for its inability to offer guidance or make judgments, suggesting that it can lead to inaction and a lack of conviction.
But isn't there a danger in swinging too far in the opposite direction, becoming overly judgmental? And rigid in our beliefs, as he argues, happens with ideological indoctrination.
That's exactly his point.
Okay.
He sees both extremes as problematic. He argues that with ideological indoctrination, individuals can become so fixated on their ideology that they lose the ability to think critically and engage in nuanced discussions.
So he's advocating for a middle ground, a balance between these extremes.
Yes. He seems to be suggesting that a healthy approach involves developing a strong sense of personal values and moral principles, while remaining open to dialogue and different perspectives.
And this reminds me of that anecdote about his appearance on CBC radio, where he was asked to just say no to happiness. He seems to be pushing back against this idea of happiness as the ultimate goal, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of chasing this fleeting happiness, Peterson proposes a search for deeper meaning.
Right.
Especially in the face of suffering.
Okay.
He argues that if we constantly try to avoid discomfort and pain, we might miss out on opportunities for growth and self-discovery.
So it's about finding something that gives us a sense of purpose.
Yes.
Even when things get tough.
Yes. And Peterson argues that meaning isn't something that you just,
right,
stumble upon.
Yeah.
It's something you actively create through your actions, your choices, and your willingness to face life's challenges.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
It's about taking responsibility for crafting a meaningful life rather than passively waiting for happiness to find us.
Exactly.
So how do we go about, creating this meaningful life that Peterson talks about? He brings up this concept of order and chaos, and that sounds pretty abstract.
It is a complex idea, but he uses this interesting analogy to explain it.
Okay.
Like a ship of state, right?
Okay.
Imagine society is like a ship navigating a stormy sea.
Right.
The ship needs a shared sense of order, rules, principles, common purpose.
Okay.
To stay afloat.
Yeah.
Without that, it risks being swallowed by the chaos of the storm.
Right. So the order represents that structure and stability, and chaos represents the unknown and the unpredictable.
Right.
But it sounds like he's saying we need both.
Exactly.
Not just one or the other.
Yeah, he uses that Taoist yin-yang symbol to illustrate this point.
Okay.
That yin-yang symbol.
Yeah.
With its interlocking black and white swirls,
Yeah.
It represents this dynamic interplay of order and chaos. It's about recognizing that both forces are essential for balance and meaning in life.
Right.
We need structure, predictability, but we also need the capacity to adapt to change.
Right.
And embrace the unknown.
That reminds me of his concept of nested hierarchies, which I admit I found a little hard to wrap my head around at first.
Yeah, it's basically the idea that different things change at different rates, right?
Yeah.
So think about the structure of a company, for example.
Okay.
Individual employees, they might come and go, but the departments remained relatively stable.
Right.
Departments might change, but the overall structure of the company persists.
Okay.
Companies might come and go, but the overall economic system endures.
Right.
It's about recognizing those different levels of order
and
how they interact.
So you're saying it's about finding that balance between stability and change at different levels of our lives?
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
It's about understanding those less obvious, unchanging orders that exist even within seemingly chaotic systems.
Okay.
This ties back to the importance of meaning in life.
Yeah.
Peterson argues that meaning isn't something that you find, but something that you create through your actions, choices, and willingness to confront life's challenges.
And he seems to place a lot of emphasis on truth-telling. I'm thinking of that story about his paranoid client. It really highlighted how a lack of honest feedback can distort our view of reality.
Yes. That story perfectly illustrates his concept of living a life lie.
Right.
Manipulating reality to fit a predetermined narrative.
Yeah.
Instead of facing the truth, even when it's uncomfortable.
So he's advocating for self-confrontation, being willing to look at ourselves honestly, acknowledge our flaws, and work towards becoming better versions of ourselves.
Absolutely. It's a call for self-awareness and personal responsibility. Instead of blaming external forces, we need to take ownership of our lives and choices.
And this ties into his views on parenting and discipline.
Right.
He believes that setting clear boundaries and enforcing consequences is essential for raising resilient and responsible children.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't shy away from controversial examples like that one where he talks about throwing a child off a playground structure to illustrate the importance of standing up against aggression.
While the example itself might be shocking, his point is that parents have a responsibility to prepare their children for the realities of the world. A world that isn't always fair or predictable.
Exactly.
He believes that discipline, when applied thoughtfully and appropriately, is a form of love.
It is.
It's about giving children the tools they need to navigate life's complexities.
Absolutely.
It's interesting how he connects this back to the dominance hierarchies we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Is he suggesting that a certain level of hierarchy and structure is necessary, not just in society, but also in the family unit?
It seems that that's part of his argument.
Okay.
He sees structure and discipline as essential components of a functioning family system.
Okay.
And he extends these ideas to the concepts of meaning and sacrifice, arguing that the willingness to delay gratification and work towards long-term goals is a uniquely human characteristic that allows us to create a better future for ourselves generations to come.
But isn't there a danger in emphasizing sacrifice too much? Couldn't that lead to people constantly putting their own needs and desires on hold?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Recognizing the importance of personal fulfillment.
Right.
While also acknowledging the need for sacrifice and contribution to something larger than ourselves.
And this brings us to his exploration of suffering and the problem of evil.
Yeah.
He uses a deeply personal example, his daughter's illness, to grapple with these incredibly difficult questions.
It's a reminder that life isn't always fair or easy.
Yeah.
We will all inevitably face challenges and hardships.
Right.
But Peterson seems to be suggesting that confronting those challenges head on with courage and integrity is key to finding meaning and purpose.
Right.
Even in the darkest of times.
So it sounds like he's saying that, trying to shield ourselves or our loved ones from suffering altogether, that might actually be counterproductive.
That's right. He argues that confronting challenges and difficulties is essential for building character and resilience.
Yeah.
It's about learning to navigate the world's complexities and developing the strength to overcome obstacles.
It's like the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Yeah. But he seems to take it a step further. He's not just talking about like physical resilience, but also about developing like a strong moral compass, a clear sense of right and wrong.
And he connects this back to his critique of moral relativism.
Right.
He argues that without a solid moral framework, we become susceptible to manipulation and exploitation. We lose the ability to stand up for ourselves and what we believe in.
So it's not just about surviving hardship, but emerging from it with a stronger sense of self and a clearer understanding of our values.
Precisely. And that's where his emphasis on truth-telling comes in again. He argues that being honest, even when it's difficult, is crucial for maintaining our integrity and building trust with others.
But isn't there a difference between being truthful and being brutally honest?
Sure.
Can't honesty, if not delivered with empathy, be hurtful?
You raise an important point.
Yeah.
Peterson acknowledges the importance of delivering truth with compassion and understanding.
Oh, okay.
He also emphasizes the importance of listening to others without judgment.
Yeah.
It's about being open to different perspectives and challenging our own assumptions.
That makes sense. It's about seeking truth, not just speaking it.
Exactly.
It's about cultivating curiosity and humility, recognizing that we don't have all the answers.
Exactly. And that ties into his concept of, meaning as a journey, a process of continual exploration and self-discovery.
Right.
It's not about reaching some, fixed destination, but about embracing the journey itself.
Yeah.
With all its challenges and triumphs.
So it's about living a life aligned with our values.
Yeah.
Pursuing goals that give us purpose.
Right.
And contributing to something larger than ourselves.
Absolutely.
It's about finding that sweet spot between order and chaos, where we're challenged to grow, but without being overwhelmed by uncertainty.
That's a great way to sum it up.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what makes Peterson's work so compelling.
Right.
He's not offering these easy answers or simple solutions. He challenges us to think deeply about ourselves and the world, to confront difficult truths, and to embrace the responsibility of creating a meaningful and fulfilling life.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Jordan Peterson.
My pleasure.
We hope you found it insightful and perhaps even sparked some new ideas or perspectives. Now, here's a thought to carry with you. Which of Peterson's ideas resonated most strongly with you? And what implications might it have for your own life, your relationships, and understanding of the world?